Oh boy, what do we have here? Another random guy on YouTube with a clickbaity title and an opinion piece on something he probably has neither the experience nor the training to properly speak about. But hang on, hear me out about it. I am self-aware enough to realize that just from the name of this video alone, a lot of you are already bristling. So, I have gone to great lengths to not only make sure this video is as approachable as possible by not even coming to a definitive conclusion to the question I ask, but I also open the field for discussion between a lot of you out there who the answer really falls upon in the first place. So, to see how that unfolds, please enjoy.
How many times have you picked up a brand new game these days only to bring it home and get a less than optimal experience? And by optimal, I mean something that feels like it was only half finished. Game-breaking bugs, glitches, and visual and graphical hiccups seem more common now than ever before these days, despite the fact that we're on, the 8th generation of consoles? And let's not even start with the games that can't even pull a decent frame rate on home machines, forcing developers to try and save face by claiming that half the visual fidelity PC gamers have been enjoying for over a decade now is somehow a preferable outcome. Why does this happen? Why, with the higher technical ceiling the modern era offers us, and more money, manpower, and time going into each game we play, do games more often than not come out looking like this? But here's the more important question. Does it matter? Well, your first answer would be, of course it does! I know I'd rather play games that work as opposed to ones that don't. I definitely prefer games that run at a consistent 60 FPS that don't suffer constant drops when you get to a bigger area. Even game trailers made a quip in their recent top 10 Nintendo consoles that a system not even a quarter as strong as the Wii U, PS4, and Xbox One was giving them a more steady stream of perfectly working titles than what we have today. And they're right, which should really bother us as a community. To their credit, Nintendo is mostly immune to a lot of this nonsense, and when something does slip through the cracks, they're pretty quick to fix it, but where does that leave everyone else? Ironically, I think a lot of where this is coming from is the high-end production values of games today, but hang on. I'm not saying that having high ambitions is inherently a bad thing, nor that we should flat out get rid of the AAA model. That would actually be a pretty dumb idea. But I've seen video after article after vlog after podcast after opinion piece after blog entry talking about how all that money in production are being put in the wrong places. Remember how almost everyone was talking about that announcement in Witcher 3? And no, not the world being 3 times the size of any other game world in existence today. I mean about Geralt having dynamic beard growth. At first glance, that sounds like a feature nobody would ever care about, but interestingly enough, in the current gaming landscape, something like that is far more appealing than all the digital land space you could possibly program. Imagine a developer approaches you concerning their game and says, "See that mountain off in the distance? You can climb all the way to the top of it if you like." And naturally, your first response is, "Why? Would I want to?" And it's a valid question. Is there something up there for you if you do? A unique boss fight, a treasure chest maybe, an achievement? Even if the chest had nothing of incredible value in it, at least you'd get something, some form of acknowledgement that your time was well spent, but more often than not, you'll reach that peak to find nothing. This is a concept in game development called negative possibility space. It's when you set up an expectation for your player and then don't deliver on it. This happening too many times can kill a game's pacing and leave your audience wholly unsatisfied overall. And this is what I see people saying about modern games more often than not. Lots of publishers have realized that the process of making hyper-realistic characters is getting exponentially more expensive and time-consuming the more advanced we get. So instead, their time has gone more and more into creating, more of it, forgetting along the way to consider why the concept of more is appealing in the first place. You know how many Far Cry 4 players have told me that the Shangri-La segment was their favorite part? Too many. But that's the trick. It's the only segment that's focused, controlled, and perceivably polished to a level that allows the moment-to-moment action to be far more satisfying and memorable. And to bring this back around, there's one other problem with making a massive game world. Ever hear the old saying, the more gears a machine has, the more prone it is to failure? Grand Theft Auto 5 is the most expensive game made to date, and even it wasn't completely immune to a little open-world weirdness. To avoid complications like that would require require incredible management ability and a thorough understanding of both your team's limitations and that of the hardware you have to work with. These are skills very few people can boast in tandem, even on the professional level. So when management dictates that the scope of your project far exceed what the developer can actually deliver, things can get out of hand incredibly quickly. And yet, despite all the problems I've just described, it doesn't seem to be affecting anything. Game sales are higher than ever, so unless it's an extreme case like Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, the company will likely walk out of a buggy game launch relatively okay. Gamers are quick to forget how many times a game has been delayed with the promise of that time being spent delivering a better experience, only for it to peter out anyway. They thank developers and show immense gratitude for doing the job they were supposed to do before they ask $60 of you. So now, I'm just immensely curious, how do you guys feel about this whole situation? I know it's a little weird to end off one of these videos with a question rather than an answer, but I realized while writing this that it's something one person can't come to a definitive answer on. It requires that we all analyze the situation as a community and collectively decide whether nothing's wrong or we're sick of all these games launched in a suboptimal state. So I encourage you, talk about this in the comments. What would you rather have? A smaller game where every element is realized to the nth degree? Or a world that's 100 square miles wide with only a few highlight moments sprinkled in here or there? And don't feel pressure not to be totally honest either. There's no reason to care how people feel about you on the internet unless you have a financial stake in it, so please tell me if you have an unpopular opinion and why. And don't just do it here, either. Hold developers to this kind of thing. Remember when they let you down and challenge them on previous mistakes. And as always, make sure you always read and watch plenty of different reviews before you commit to a purchase. I realize I'm heavily biasing the comments I'll get by saying everything I did in this video first, but nothing will get done if I don't at least open the avenue for conversation. And in my opinion, this is something we should be conversing about a lot more.
You know, Bagel, analytics don't lie. Did you know I get a view spike every time you're in one of these bits at the front or the end? It's good times. It's good times. Just like the scratching down here, you like that, don't you?